Now, the energy crisis in Africa is very far from being resolved. That at least is according to energy professionals who met in the Ivorian capital of Abidjan. Now, the players drawn from Northern, Central and Western Africa all noted that investment in energy is simply not commensurate with economic growth in individual countries or rising demand for energy as a whole. They were meeting at the African Energy Forum, where it is expected that resolutions drawn up there would lead to more power investments in a power-hungry continent.
The power sector in the sub-region deserves our attention. Despite investments by the government, it must be noted that an explosion of demographic developments and the deterioration of existing infrastructure have caused the rate of electrification in the region to remain unchanged.
More than 600 million people in Africa have no access to modern energy services. They continue to depend on biomass for their primary energy needs.
Elsewhere, a survey of business leaders right across Africa found that the old challenges of poor infrastructure, insufficient power supplies and poor skills development still plague the countries on the continent, even though growth confidence levels are still pretty high. The PricewaterhouseCoopers survey sampled about 300 CEOs from across the continent, and it concluded that historical challenges associated with barriers to business on the continent are still very much alive. The CEOs were all in agreement that there was need for much more intra-African trade. They also observed that trade between African countries contributed to a very small 6 to 8% of the continent's entire trade volumes, and that in turn has been made worse by existing regional trade blocs. Now, the most common narrative in economic migration is one of Africans heading over to the West, seeking better livelihoods. The economic malaise and high unemployment rates in Europe, however, has created the opposite trend. Many Portuguese, for example, are heading south to Mozambique as their home country grapples with a slowdown in its economy. CCTV's Julie Shire met up with some of the new immigrants in Maputo. She found this report.
It is hard not to be tempted. The language is the same, the food is just as tasty, and Mozambique has today one of the world's fastest growing economies. Many Portuguese who were faced with mounting unemployment and rising taxes have decided to bet on Mozambique.
When I came here, I found a whole new world. This country is getting developed, and it's easier for people like me with skills to find corporate jobs. And then I fell in love with these capulanas, the local fabrics that all women wear. So I started my new business here. It's called Moz Designs and Garota Moz.
Mozambique is enjoying a boom after the discoveries of coal and gas reserves and is attracting highly skilled Portuguese like Vasco Gaifão.
I think Mozambique is a wonderful place to develop business and is the right bridge to do business with the Asian countries, like China, for example. I love this country. I think it's an astonishing country and full of opportunities.
Opportunities have been embraced, and Nuno Pestana, a Portuguese with Mozambican origins, has returned and invested $1.5 million in a restaurant business where he employs 110 people in the center of Maputo.
So many people came to Africa and Mozambique and thought we're gonna go to the tree and the money come. No, we're gonna work, hard work. And if you came to work, the business is good.
The Portuguese consulate in Maputo confirms that there are now 23,000 registered Portuguese who are working and investing in Mozambique.
Their work has important impact in development of the country. They are doing a lot of training. They are doing transfer of know-how, transfer of technology, and the majority of these companies are also have very important programs on corporate social responsibility.
Portuguese who are arriving now in Mozambique have come to escape Portugal's economic slowdown and lack of opportunity. They are highly skilled and they're looking for jobs that will give them stability and financial compensation for over the next 5 to 10 years. Many have come to invest in a country that is being reborn. Julie Shire, CCTV News, in Maputo, Mozambique.
Now, well into the second week of the US government shutdown, you can see the ripple effect spreading right across African markets. Bit of a mixed bag in early morning trade. The Nigerian oil share in the green, but only marginally so, by less than a tenth. The JSE oil share index with quite a bit of exposure to Western and European markets, for that matter, down by about 2/10. The 20-share index in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, also in the red, down by over a third. The Egyptian market, however, defying that trend, up by 0.93. We'll have a more comprehensive update of those numbers for you at 1700 GMT. On to the sport now with Beatrice.
Rama, many thanks indeed. The sport, your headline.